What's up, guys, and welcome to Movie Emporium's Flashback Reviews, where I take movies... Wait, hold on a second. This is the 25th anniversary of Clerks. We can't do this in color. We have to do it in black and white. And there's one more thing. Hey, it's the best I got. What's up, guys, and welcome to Movie Emporium's Flashback Reviews, where I take movies from the past, break them down, and tell you what I think about them. If you like what you see, of course, hit the subscribe button. Join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next, and of course, comment below on any video that you watch on my channel. So, Clerks is officially 25 years old. That is insane, because I remember in 1997, working at a sports store, learning about this movie. People were talking about it like it was the greatest thing ever made. It was a movie that I had never heard of before. I didn't know who Kevin Smith was. Most people didn't know who Kevin Smith was. And I watched it, and you know what? I hated this movie. I had a dispassionate not loving of this movie. I didn't think it was funny. I didn't think anything about it was clever. And I just didn't like it. You know, it was one of those things. It was very, very weird. And like I said in my Jay and Silent Bob reboot, it took me 6 times to really enjoy this movie. And I don't know what it was. I don't know what about it was. I don't know if I officially got the humor. I don't know, because it's really, really strange to think about. And what can I say? I unabashedly love this movie. This movie is funny. It's irreverent. It's well written. And it really shows the life of 20-year-old somethings. People that have no drive, working like dead-end jobs, and are making mistakes left and right. And that's what's so great about a movie like this. You know, this movie has the most interesting of making ofs of all time. You know, this started the indie movement with stuff like, you know, Sex, Lies, and Videotape and El Mariachi. You know, Kevin Smith famously maxed out his credit cards. He worked on this film on overnights when he wasn't working at the convenience store that's shown in this movie. And he brought along just a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing. This is guerrilla filmmaking at its finest. And it's an amazing thing that this movie even succeeded, because if you listen to everything that had happened to Kevin Smith trying to get this movie made and trying to get this movie produced in the documentary shooting Clerks, wow, it's insane to think about. And he decided to have kind of a showing at his local theater. And of course, nobody knows about this besides his friends that had worked on it. And this one guy, this like newspaper reporter or whatever he was, like a critic of the local area, he got wind of it, and because he had some kind of influence, he kind of showed to his friends. So this is a movie that had, you know, one person, and it spread like wildfire, and it ended up at Sundance. This movie is a Sundance darling. It's one of the original Sundance darlings for its time and for its movement of the indie filmmaking movement. And it's funny how much it took, how much processing it took to get this movie officially released, because it was officially released under the Miramax logo, and there was so much back and forth. But the fact that this movie is now here, like I said, is kind of a watershed moment, I guess you could say. And it's not the most like coherent movie ever made, because there are a lot of stuff that's going on in this movie. It doesn't make any sense. But it's a basic story of 2 characters played by Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson. They play Randall and Dante, and they are 2 clerks on this local video store, in this local convenience store. You know, Dante, who is on his day off, gets called into work, and there's that famous line, "I'm not supposed to be here today," which is now one of the most famous lines of Kevin Smith's Overture. And he shows up, and these wacky things start happening to him. You know, we have this guy who works for Chewlie's Gum, who's trying to get people off cigarettes, and then we have, you know, Dante, who is this character that is still in love with this, you know, his ex-girlfriend Caitlin Bree, but he's also dating this character who is Veronica. And you know, there's that whole thing with, you know, the moment when they find out how many sex partners they've had and how many, you know, moments of like, you know, oral sex they've had, and that's really funny. And that stuff's when it really starts going off the rails of just how insane this movie really is, because there's a lot of stuff happening in this movie, but it's kind of true to life, because when you work at a convenience store, or you work at a, you know, retail store, you work at any of these dead-end jobs, basically, you get these types of scenarios. You get the weird people that come in. You know, there's this one guy that wants like soft toilet paper, and you know, and then he wants to look at the nude Playboy magazine or whatever it is to go in the bathroom, and that kind of stuff does happen where people ask those types of questions. And then there's questions about like, you know, where's the specific things are at, and you know, people going in there stealing food, and it's just The overall arching arc of this movie is just about the day in the life of a Clerks employee. And what's so great about it is Dante is like the straight man, and Randall is like the guy who doesn't care. He's the guy that just wants to live day by day, I guess you could say. And you see it in Randall's demeanor. Randall, as Jeff Anderson's character, is the standout of this movie because he's so vulgar. He doesn't care. His famous line is, "You know what would be great? If nobody was in the store." Basically, there were no customers, and it's just such a great line, and I love it. And that's what I love about this movie is the look and feel of the realism behind everything that's going on in the real outlandish nature, because there's so many weird moments in this movie. There's one moment where they're outside and this woman wants to get into the video store, but Randall plays off like, oh, he's trying to wait for the same video, and then she bets him a bunch of money. And it's just stuff like that. It's just, I just love this movie for that humor. I love the fact that they're willing to close the store to play hockey or go to a wake. It's funny that one of the members of this universe, the VSQ universe, dies, and then it plays over at other movies, which is really clever and kind of, fun to watch. But so you got all these scenarios happening in the convenience store, and then you got two iconic characters who are kind of outside of this world, and that is with Jay and Silent Bob, Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith. And it's really telling that Kevin Smith took on this character because he probably couldn't find anybody to take on this role, and he felt he could do it better than anyone else. And Jason Mewes, who was a friend of Kevin Smith at the time, he liked him so much he put him into this movie, and everything became history after that. But there's so many crazy moments going on. Jason Mewes' character goes into like the Quickie Mart, Quick Stop, or whatever it is, steals a bunch of food, or he's smoking blunts, or he's like hitting on women. And it's just, and then Kevin Smith has this friend or cousin that's Russian. There's that whole Berserker song, and it's so mind-boggling to see like how simple these characters are and how kind of expansive they became later on, because every character in this movie is a starting point to this universe, and they've all had moments where they've evolved throughout the story of what Kevin Smith is telling through Clerks 2, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I like the fact that Randall and Dante, as opposites as they are, they find a middle ground to work with each other. The dialogue is so on point and so pinpoint precise that when they are having discussions, which this movie is doing a lot of, they are so just like, they flow so well like an Aaron Sorkin script. When they get into, talking about the Chuli's gum, or they get into talking about the Death Star stuff, or they get into talking about, going to a strip club and so on and so forth. It's just, the back and forth is so like unique and fresh and just realistic that you just can't help but love these characters. And it's amazing that I just didn't completely just jump on board as soon as I watched this, because I love well-written stories. I love well-written characters. I also like vulgarness. I like innuendo and reverency and stuff like that. It's just, this movie has it in spades. And that's all thanks to how much Kevin Smith is good as a writer, and it really, really shows here. Yes, there's some weird moments. There's some weird off the wall stuff. Sometimes I think he goes a little too indulgent with what he's saying, but everything here, when it works perfectly. When Dante learns that his ex-wife or ex-girlfriend is getting married to an Asian design major, it's really, really funny to watch because he's like freaking out. He doesn't know what to do. When he learns about what his current girlfriend has done, and how he freaks out about that, and how he gets it put back on him as he puts it on everyone else. And it's perfectly done and perfectly well represented in a movie that costs so little money. I mean, this movie cost $23,000 to make, and it made triple and double and quadruple its money back. But I think it's always also funny and telling to learn that Kevin Smith had to shoot this on black and white film because he couldn't afford color film. He did this in the easiest and cheapest way possible, and it actually gives it kind of a dimension. It kind of gives it a really good, nice feel, and it gives it kind of just like an old school, something you could see in the 50s and 60s, because of how grainy and how this low budget it really is. But it really works. And then he gets like Scott Mosier and Walt Flanagan and his mom, and all these characters that come in and do bit parts for her, for his roles. And I like that Walt Flanagan is kind of like several different characters, but he plays like 3 different characters in a row, and that's really funny. And yeah, it's just a fun, great movie. My favorite scene in this movie is the Death Star moment when they start talking about individual contractors. It's perfect because it's kind of true. These, when you think about the Death Star and Return of the Jedi, it's like, they had to hire people probably to do this, to probably build this. There's not that many people. I guess there probably could be that many people in the galaxy that are under control of the Empire because it is a dictatorship. But when you start to think about it, when you start to like see the underlining bottom line, it really makes a lot of sense when Randall's talking about, these contractors were there and they're like innocent bystanders to when the rebellion or the resistance or whatever you want to call them kind of destroyed it. So millions of people died, millions of families lost their lost their people. It's just, I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. But overall, for the 88 minutes this movie is on, it's genius in its storytelling. Kevin Smith is not for everyone, his style of writing and whatnot, but you cannot not be wowed by the wow factor of what Kevin Smith did with so much, with so little, and the fact that he was able to concoct something so ingenious. I mean, like you said, when all these characters started like coming in and how they're acting, yes, they're over the top and over exaggerated, but like I said before, I've seen it in real life. I've seen it happen. These characters do exist, and when they come in, it makes for good screen time. If you could actually have a video camera with your phone, it'd be just like watching Clerks, and that's why it makes it so perfect. And it's built on the cast, it's built on Kevin Smith, and it's built on everything that came together in a perfect lightning in the bottle scenario. And that's why Clerks, at 25 years old, is still, in my personal opinion, a masterpiece for what it did and what it still does. And happy birthday to Kevin Smith's Clerks, 25 years old. That's pretty crazy to think about because, like I said, I remember seeing it 23 years ago as it was becoming popular. So there you go. That's my take on Clerks. Happy birthday. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. Comment below what you think about Clerks. What's your favorite part about Clerks? Hit that subscribe button, join Movie Emporium, hit the notification bell to find out what's coming next. But otherwise, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for checking out Movie Emporium. I really appreciate it. If you want to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification button and the bell at the top. Find out what's coming next for Movie Emporium. Also, check out these 2 videos. They're amazing. I think they're awesome. I think you'll enjoy them too. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.